Hi. Hi, Louis.
Hi, Corinne.
Hey, Monica. How are
Hi,
you?
Monica. Hi, everyone. I've started sharing my screen now. So
Yes.
just let me know when we're ready to go.
Yes, I think the number of students are there. Possibly we can start. Let me just introduce to you. So the students, the team from Trinity College Dublin is here. Louis Staunton is looking after the global team there in Trinity College Dublin. Then we have Monica. She looks after the School of Computer Engineering, and Shlo has also joined her in that. Aisling Weldon is probably the
Is admissions in AOR?
Yeah, admissions. And I'll hand over to Jacinta to to introduce the members from Trinity College Dublin side. Yeah,
That's great. So yeah, thanks very much, Karun. We're delighted to be here today, everyone. As Karun or Dr. Verma said, I'm Louise Staunton. I'm the International Student Experience Manager at Trinity. There's a number of us here today from the team at Trinity who are going to talk you through your next steps on your journey to Trinity to commence your third year of the IEP at Trinity. So just to give you a sense of what's on the agenda for today, we have a session that will last for approximately 1 hour. So we'll introduce everyone over the next few minutes, but the session will focus on admissions, so how to apply and accept your offer. Then we'll have a look at visas, how to apply for an Irish study visa. We'll also go through your options for accommodation. Then there'll be a little segment on the IEP and the strands. Then we'll have something on coming to Trinity, the different supports, orientation and start dates at Trinity this year. And then we'll have a Q&A with many of the people here on the call from the Trinity side and the TAPR side. And it will also include Rishab from Trinity's Global Ambassador team, who will be here to give you his perspective as an international student. So I hope that sounds okay to everyone and like what you were expecting the webinar would contain. So I'm going to introduce a couple of my colleagues who are here today. So first and foremost, I'm going to introduce Monica. Monica, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi everyone. Thank you for coming to the webinar. I'm Monica Camardo and I work on the partnerships team at Trinity. So I work closely with Louise and with Chloe and Emer as well, and with everyone else on the call, with Aisling, with Santa. But my office would deal with the agreement between TAPR and Trinity. So the very basics of what allows you to come to Trinity, the very beginning of the relationship. So it's very nice to be here, and hope you enjoyed the webinar.
Thank you very much, Monica. And next I'm going to introduce Chloe O'Connor. Chloe.
Hi everyone, it's great to be here. So I'm Chloe, so I just joined a new role actually in the School of Engineering, so I'm a global officer. So I will be looking after kind of any kind of international queries you have or anything like that to do with engineering. So again, I work closely as well with Monica and with Emer, who's the other global officer in the School of Computer Science. So it'd be great to, if you have any questions, just pop them my way, and I hope you enjoy the webinar.
Great, thanks very much, Chloe. And next, Emer, please.
Hi everybody, I'm Emer Moran, the Global Officer for the School of Computer Science and Statistics. And as Chloe mentioned, I work closely with her in supporting the international students. So when you come to our school, we'll be here to support you, but you have my contact details there and I'll speak to you later in the webinar today.
Thanks very much, Emer. Aisling, please.
Hi everyone, I'm Aisling Weldon. I work as the Activity Administrator in the Applications and Admissions team. It's in Academic Registry. And the admissions section today is pretty straightforward, but if you do have any questions, just let us know.
That's great, Aisling. Thanks so much. Also joining us today is Santa Zulg. Santa?
Hi everyone, my name is Santa and I work for Trinity Hall. I look after the residential allocations there, and I will talk to you later on about accommodation and how to apply for accommodation and the sort of charges that you would be looking at.
That's great, Santa. And I think we've someone here from the E3 team as well, if you want to introduce yourself as well.
Hi everyone, I'm Dervla. I'm the E3 Senior Business Development and Engagement Manager, and I did engineering in Trinity myself. So if you have any questions at all at the end, I'd be really happy to answer them.
Thanks very much for that, Dervla. And last but absolutely not least, we have Rishab here, who's our student ambassador.
And I'm doing best. I'm in my 4th year, and I'm here to answer any questions which you might have about student life at Trinity. So yeah, look forward to chatting with you.
We'll get to you later, Rishab. Thanks so much. Okay, so and also Karun, I think all the team probably know you, or all the students know you, but do you want to be, for completion reasons, we'll ask you to introduce yourself as well.
Yeah, I'm Dr. Karun Verma. I am looking after the Trinity program here at Thapar. I'm Associate Professor in Computer Science and Engineering Department.
Great, thank you so much. And I see Professor Ajay is here as well, but he may be lingering in the background.
Dr. Ajay, the meeting.
Great.
So he's just
no problem.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, so I think we're ready to go. So those of you who are joining us from Thapar, students, you're very, very welcome today, and we do look forward to giving you more information and answering all of your questions. So the first section we're going to move into is the admission section. So I'm going to ask Aisling now to start presenting, and Aisling, I'll put your slides forward for you, okay?
Thank you. So first things first, to begin your application, you will click on the link you see here, which will be emailed to everybody. This will bring you to your mytcd.ie profile. Also, when you're applying, you need not apply to your particular stream of engineering. Karun or Ajay will let us know this after we receive your applications. When you log in, it will first ask for your personal details. Please fill out all the tabs you see in front of you, and when you're happy with the information, press Save and Proceed. The next screen you'll see here will ask you for all your prior experience. Please fill in as much as you can, and once you're happy with the information, again, you can press Save and Proceed. Next, you'll be asked to input information on your education and qualifications. To put in as much as you can, and click Save and Proceed to follow on. At this stage, you'll be asked for references. As you are advanced entry students, you don't need to provide any reference letters, so you can just click Save and Proceed to go on to the next screen. Then you'll be asked for supporting documents, which you can upload either all at once or at different times to your portal. You can press Save and Close to come back to it later. And if you're happy to move on, press Save and Proceed. Next, you'll be asked to agree to the declaration. Once you do so, you can click Save and Proceed, and your application will begin processing. A personal statement is not required as you are advanced entry students from Thapar. So all you need to do is input some text into this box to go on to the next screen. Anything at all is fine. For instance, Thapar are not required. Once this is done, you can press Save and Proceed. Payment is not required for your application fee. So when you see the payment tab, you can click Proceed to Payment. You do not need to pay this, you just press Save. This will progress with your application, and then the application fee will be waived by us. Then, once they are done, we will issue conditional offers and accept them on your behalf as soon as we receive transcripts. Unconditional offers will then be issued as soon as we receive final transcripts, assuring that you have a GPA of 7.0. At this stage, English language visa waivers will also be issued by us. Thank you.
Apologies, I was still muted there. Thanks very much for that, Aisling. That was very clear. And if we have any questions for Aisling, we'll come to those at the end. Aisling, are you able to stay with us for the whole time?
Yes, absolutely.
You are. Okay, that's perfect. Okay, thank you so much. So we can, I know that this webinar is being recorded as well. So anything that you want to go back on and look over, you'll be able to look over it afterwards. So now I'm going to talk to you about visas and immigration. So these slides have come to us from Nilanjana Shin, our regional manager from India. So they're very specific to Indian students. Unfortunately, Nilanjana is not able to be with us today, so I'm going to do her slides. So basically, as an Indian student, you need to apply through our visa office in Delhi. If you're holding an offer for our intake in September of this coming year, you can now apply for your visa. What we ask you to do is to apply for a visa that will be a multi-entry student visa. And that means that you'll be able to travel on it up until October when you get it issued. So normally people will apply for their visa once they get their offer for Trinity, which you will get after you complete and give your your results for your second year to Trinity. The visa application process then, what you have to do is create an application online via AVATS, and we will put the link into the chat box. I'll put the link in when I finish speaking, which is your application for an Irish visa. Then you have to arrange an appointment with the VFS, the Visa Facilitation Service. And the recommendation from Nilanjana is that you avail of the check and verify service, because that will speed things up for you. And then you have to compile your supporting documentation. And again, I'll put that link into the chat box in a few moments. And that supporting documentation is very important, because if you don't have your supporting documentation and all of it included at the time of your visa application, it may slow down the progress of your visa application. Once you have done all of that, then you submit your document to Visa Facilitation Service or to the Embassy of Ireland, and then you wait on your visa outcome. Now, the last I heard, visa applications can take, anywhere from 6 to 7 to 8 weeks. So just be aware of that, that you do have to allow that kind of time and to apply as soon as you can once you have got your offer for Trinity. So what are the kinds of documents that are required then for your visa application? So you can see on the screen what is required. Application form for your visa, your application and your cover letter, some passport size photos, your current passport, any previous passports you've had, a police clearance certificate, your academic or educational documents, your offer letter from Trinity is very important. And you also need, normally you need a proof of English proficiency, but separate arrangements apply for TAPAR students. You are given an English language waiver, and Monica will give you an update on that. We issue a letter to TAPAR for the TAPAR students, so you won't need to worry about that, but we will issue you a letter. And then also you'll require medical insurance. Now, when you're coming to Trinity, you can use medical insurance from your home country for your first year in Trinity. So you need to show that, or you can get medical insurance from Ireland. And then any employment documentation if it's applicable, but that won't be applicable for most of you. You also need then financial evidence. So you need to show that you've paid at least 50% of the total first year fees. And again, there's a separate arrangement for TAPAR that Monica will update you on. You need to show that you have funds to pay the rest of the tuition fees. You also need to show that you have sufficient funds to cover your living expenses in Ireland. And we recommend that you show up to €15,000. And that will obviously speed along your visa application. You are advised only to book flights or make travel arrangement after your visa application has been granted, because you need to make sure that you have your visa issued to you before you make those travel arrangements. If you do, for some reason, want to make your travel arrangements first, you need to make sure that you book changeable arrangements so that you can change the details if need be. So if you need more information on the visa application process, you'll see there a link on the screen, and that will give you all the information that you need. And again, I'll put that into the chat box after I finish speaking. And then our regional manager for India, Nilanjana Shin, will be available to give you information afterwards. As I said, she can't join us today, but you can email her if you have any specific questions on that. She will also send you a Studying in Ireland information sheet. It contains all the information here. And then, yeah, I suppose it's really just all about getting over the line, getting your application for Trinity finished, and then you can apply for your visa. So that's everything on visas, and I hope that was clear. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass you over, or actually, sorry, before I do that, Monica, would you like to come in on those two other items in relation to the fee and the English language waiver that I referred to?
Yeah, so the English language waiver, TAPRA students don't need to do anything. Once we get their details, once I know who applied, we will then prepare the letters, and Chloe from the School of Engineering will send them on to Karun together with the offer letters. Now, when it comes to fees, I think the best thing to do would be I'll send an email to Karun with all the dates with the table for the fees, so that it's clear. So I'll do that later today, and then Karun can send it on to the students.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much. And now I'm going to pass over to Santa. Thanks a lot, Santa. Sorry, by the way, Santa, we won't need to show the video if that's okay.
Okay, that's fine. Thanks very much,
Thanks
Louise.
a lot.
Right, so very briefly about accommodation. Trinity Hall is a student residence that is based out in Dartry, Rathmine. So it's not based on campus, but it's only about half an hour away from the main campus and lectures. It would be considered recommended options for first years and new entrants to college. We have 924 bed spaces across single and shared twin rooms. We have very spacious bedrooms. We have high-speed broadband. All rooms have electronic card locks. We've also 24-hour on-site security, as well as the other sort of general amenities that you'd expect, such as fitness room, self-service laundry room, recreational rooms, and vending machines. There's also plenty of bike storage as well. Lise, we pass on to the next slide, please. So Trinity Hall would be considered soft landing for overseas students because we have a pastoral care and support structure in place that is led by a warm team, and we also have a peer support network that is there to help you to transition to college and Trinity College. We also have various different social events that would be organised throughout the year by the Junior Common Room Committee, as well as events organised during the orientation weekend, which would generally happen during the main moving weekend. These will pass that. Accommodation rates for the current year are as in front of you there now. So the shared twin room started at €176 per week, whereas a single room was €215 a week. These rates are just for the illustration purposes because they were for this academic year. The rates for next academic year will be increasing, and the actual increase will be confirmed in coming months. So how do you apply for Trinity Hall for next year? So first of all, you will have to use your Trinity College student number that you get in your course offer letter. When you go on to our website, tcd.ie/accommodation, it's very important that when you are presented with the screen that you can see there in front of you, that you go through the route on the left-hand side, because you will be a Trinity College student rather than a CAO. So you have to put in your Trinity College student number and your date of birth, and that's when you'll be able to create your residential account. It will be your residential account for the full duration as a Trinity College student. As part of the application, there are a few kind of very important components. So first of all, when you go in to create the application, you will be asked to complete the supporting section. The supporting section is very short and sweet. All you have to do is bullet point your hobbies and interests. That's all we're interested in because we use it to make allocations. If you do have a preferred flatmate that you would like to share either the twin room with or the apartment with, make sure to include the full name and their Trinity College student number in your application. Also, we would generally only try and put 2 students per apartment. So just to make sure that everyone has somebody that, you know, we can try and facilitate all the requests. So instead of putting down 4 or 5 different students that you'd like to share it, make sure that you put down the one person that you really would like to share it. And then the other student will have to have the same preference as well. The other thing that is very important about room applications, you really have to consider the room type that you're applying for. Excuse me. So when you're applying, you can either apply for a single room or a shared twin room. What we generally see is that students apply for shared twin rooms because it is the cheaper option. But what you mightn't realize is that you are going to be sharing that room 24/7 for the whole academic year. Unfortunately, we only have so many single rooms. So oftentimes you could be waiting for months on end to change to a single room if you make that request during the academic year. So what I would recommend is, if you are kind of in two minds of whether to go for a shared twin room or whether to apply for a single room instead, apply for a single room, just to make sure that, you know, when you do arrive to Trinity Hall, you're actually happy in the room that you're in. I think that's all from me for now, but I think we will be doing a Q&A after the session, so I'll be happy to answer any questions then.
Thank you so much for that, Santa. That was really clear. And yeah, definitely to echo Santa's advice on if you are planning to share a room, it is really important that you consult with the person that you want to share with, and that there's an agreement and you both use each other the same names, because that's hugely important. Okay, great. So the next item then is a little bit on the School of Engineering. So I'm going to pass over to Chloe O'Connor. Thanks, Chloe.
Hi everyone, so just going to give a quick brief overview of the School of Engineering. So if you could just go to the next slide there, Louise, please. Perfect, thanks a million. So the structure of engineering in Trinity, you can either do a 4-year undergraduate degree and graduate with a BAI degree, or else you can do a 1 additional year. So it would be then you'd be graduating with an MAI degree. So when students are in first and second year, they just do kind of general modules on engineering, and then as soon as you transition to third year, you can specialize into different streams of engineering. So there's different streams such as biomedical, there's civil, structural and environmental, there's computer, there's electronic and computer engineering, and there's mechanical as well. So you can choose which stream you want to do, and students normally, when they're going into third year, they're specialized and they know what stream they're doing. And then when you go and transition into year 4, you'll be doing a capstone project, which is essentially just like a dissertation thesis. And then you can decide then based on your results from year 4, if you want to transition into a master's program, which is the MAI, or else you can graduate with a BAI degree. So the next slide here just discusses modules. So basically all engineering modules for your stream choice, we'll say if you're doing mechanical engineering or if you're doing electronic and you're not sure what modules are on offer, you're not sure what the content is, all of this information is on the School of Engineering website. So all modules based on your stream can be found on the link there in that slide. So when you're transitioning into year 3, semester 1, and then semester 2, you might be a little bit confused about what you can take and what the content is, the assessment is, if it's continuous assessment, or if there's one kind of big project. You can find all that information there on that link. So it's very useful. It also contains information on the module leader, contact details, including their emails as well, just in case you want to contact them about the actual content, what you'll be learning and the assessments. And there's also useful resources on labs, tutorials, and the School of Engineering handbook can also be found on that link. So the next slide there just contains just some useful information on computer and electronic engineering laptop recommendations. So some students might be a little bit confused or may not know what type of laptop that might be required depending on the stream of engineering that you're going into. So this is just kind of a very brief kind of recommendation list here of different types of laptops that you can get. So I mean, if you do have any questions about that as well, depending on the stream that you're in, like if you're in a mechanical or if you're in electronic, you can always email, you know, the course director, or you can email myself as well. My email is at the top of the webinar, and I can try and find that information for you. But that's just kind of a very brief overview of the school. So any information that you need on module choices or assessments or anything to do with the content of the course, you can find all that on the previous slide on the link there. And if you do have any questions at all, you can contact me on my email address, or else I can try and get you contact details for course directors just in case you have any specific questions on, we'll say, mechanical or electronic or anything like that. But I'll pass you over now to Emer, who will do the next few slides.
Thanks very
Thanks,
much,
Chloe. Thanks, Louise. So in today's session, really, we're not speaking a huge amount about the experience once you arrive in Trinity, but just to let you know that we will have another webinar prior to your departure, where we will speak to you in more detail about orientation information, the wide range of supports that are available at Trinity. And also today we spoke about how to apply for your visa, but once you arrive in Dublin, you will need to register with immigration. So we'll talk you through exactly how to do that before you arrive. Here's a link to another useful page for you on our website. There's a lot to get your head around to get organized before you come. So this checklist is very useful for students. It just talks you through all the steps, what you need to do before you arrive. So we'll share these slides with you after you have that link. The academic year starts with an orientation week on the 4th of September. So we would advise you all to be here for that. And then teaching starts on the 11th of September. And you can view the calendar for Trinity at the link provided on this slide. And finally, this is, as you know, there's a wide range of supports available to you once you come to Trinity, starting off from the welcome and then right through to academic support, learning support, disability services, all sorts of health services in terms of doctors, counselling. There's a wide range of sporting facilities available. A lot of this, you know, the services are available. Sometimes the problem is trying to find out how to get there. So we will provide you with more information at that, both at the pre-arrival webinar and then also once you arrive at the orientation sessions. When you come, myself and Chloe will do a dedicated presentation to you on arrival on your first week, and we'll be able to guide you to all the supports and services that you need at that point. And we look forward to meeting you then.
Thanks so much, Emer. That's really useful. We also have Dervla O'Reilly with us here at the moment from the E3 team. Dervla, is there anything you would like to add at this juncture before we go into the Q&A section?
No, I don't think anything in particular. I think Chloe's given kind of a good sense as to what the different modules that are on offer are and the kind of structure of the course. And I think Emer's given a kind of good sense of kind of student life and academic practice. I would just say, I'm not sure if kind of Chloe explicitly said it, but when students are choosing their disciplines, so all of the engineering classes are all together in first year and second year, but in third year, that's when they choose their specialism. And what that means is everyone's kind of getting to know each other again in third year. So they've been in a much bigger class and then they're splitting into their disciplines then. So it's a really good year to actually transition in because everyone is in a new class. So it's just kind of good to know that. And we kind of have some visiting students in then and everything. So it's a really nice time to be joining. So sometimes I think people are worried if they haven't joined in first year, but everyone's kind of in that same position because they'll be joining mechanical or computer or civil engineering for the first time from the engineering class. So that's probably it. I'm not sure. I'm trying to think of there other questions we often get asked and I'm not sure what they are, but that's just
that's great, Dervla. That's a really good point to make. And actually I might also make the point then that as you are students coming in to third year in Trinity, you are joining a new cohort of students in your accommodation in Trinity Hall as well. Now they will be first year students, so they are brand new to Trinity. They're not third year students like you. But over the years, we have found that that's actually the best place for the top art students to be in their first year because you're with other students who are also brand new to Trinity and potentially brand new to Dublin. Okay, so look, that's great. Thanks everyone for your presentations. And now we're going to go into the Q&A session with the team. And also we have Rishab here. So I am going to ask Rishab a few specific questions in a couple of moments. But if you have any questions now, please put them into the chat box that you should have on what you're viewing. But before we start answering your specific questions, I'm going to invite Rishab to turn on his camera, and I'm going to ask Rishab a couple of questions. So Rishab, you're very welcome.
Hi, Louise. Thanks for having me.
Thanks a lot. So Rishab is one of our, we know Rishab quite well, most of the staff team, because Rishab is one of our student global ambassadors. So he works with us at Trinity Global as an ambassador. So he answers questions from prospective students. He works at our global room, and he works on organizing events, activities and initiatives for all students who come to Trinity, including Irish and other international students like you will be when you come to us in September. So Rishab, first and foremost, what's it like to be a student at Trinity and having come from India?
It was actually quite a bit of it's definitely a nice experience, I would say. And in the beginning, it was a bit of a culture shock when I joined Trinity. But staying in halls, like as all first year students in my year was staying in halls was a great place to like break into the Irish culture and like try to get around and like, find out more about the city and like where to go, what places to like get food and groceries from. And since you're like in first year and a lot of other people are on the same boat as you are, so you like kind of like figure out things together, even though you're an international student. So that was quite a nice experience. And I made quite a few friends also who I still stay with in like fourth year now.
That's really good. Yeah, and so and tell us a little bit then, what is the accommodation like in halls, and who did you live with and that?
Also, accommodation in halls, it's actually a pretty nice area considering that I've lived in a lot of other places after my first year. Right now I'm staying on campus since I'm in fourth year, but in first year halls is like this. It's like if explaining to like an Indian, I would say that it's like a small society. Then you have like various flats and apartments in there, and what your flat would contain with like your own bedroom and your own bathroom, which is like an ensuite option. You also have the option to like share your room with someone else. That means you'll have two beds, two desks, two wardrobes or cupboards, and then just one shared bathroom with the person who you're sharing the room with. The apartment usually consists of like about 5 to 6 or like 6 to 7 people. I actually shared my apartment with 7 people, so it was a little bit bigger than usual. And you have your one kitchen area, so it has probably like 4 stoves or hobs, and has one oven and microwave, fridge, everything. We also got like a TV in our room, so it was like we used to have like movie nights and everything within the apartment. Other than that, the JCR over there plays quite a big role. They actually make events for you and make the transition into Dublin quite easy. So they have events all around, like they have events for Halloween, they have events for Christmas. Recently, the Indian Society also held a Diwali and a Holi event in halls as well. So there are a lot of events going on throughout the year. I mean, I couldn't make it to all of them, even though I wanted to. So that's the amount of events which go on. There's also like a 5-a-side football field and a basketball court on halls, so you don't have to like go anywhere. Other than a gym and Oldham House, you can also play like table tennis or pool over there. So like Halls is a really nice place. I would say it's like the bus to Trinity from Halls is literally right outside. So like if you step out of like the main doors of Halls, on the right side you'll find the bus, which is about like it takes about 15 to 20 minutes to Trinity. And if you're willing to walk about like 5 to 10 more minutes, 5 minutes maximum, you find the Lewis station, which is like the metro for Dublin. So you find the Lewis station that drops you off also right in front of college, but that's like a 15-minute ride again.
That's great, Rishabh. Yeah, that I think gives everyone an overview of what it's like. What about cooking? What were your cooking skills like before you came from India? And actually, just want to say one thing first. Rishabh is not, just so it's clear, Rishabh is not on the TAPR program. He's doing another program, so he would have joined Trinity for his first year. So there's a little bit of a distinction there, but still his experience is still very valid. So tell us about your cooking skills, and have you managed to find Indian food, for example, and ingredients in Dublin?
So my cooking skills weren't very good when I came over here. For the first week, I was surviving on scrambled eggs, bread, and sausages. So
okay.
I didn't know, like, because in India it was at the time like I wasn't cooking that much, and like I didn't know like how to make pastas and like other Indian dishes, because usually we have like people that's already made to us, or if you're staying in a hostel we have like mess services or canteen service which actually like give food to us. But yeah, I kind of figured out it was just like I threw myself in the water and I figured I could swim. That kind of a situation. A lot of my flatmates also did help. So we had like this thing after like the 2 weeks or something, just to make things easier for everyone. We used to like one person used to make food for the night. So it was more of like if we were having pasta, he would like make the whole thing for everyone. And the one thing which I noticed over here, or like quite a few people noticed over here, was that food over here goes bad quicker than it does in India. So that was quite interesting to see. And like usually I used to buy a lot of groceries thinking that it would last me for like 2 weeks or like 3 weeks, but that was not the case usually. So we figured out a way so that we all cook together and nothing goes to waste. So that was one of the things. Finding good Indian food near halls, there are a couple of restaurants. They are pretty nice as compared to the other options in the city center, but they are a little bit more expensive. But there are a few options which are on Deliveroo, which is like Uber Eats and Swiggy or Zomato, which works usually in India. So on Deliveroo, you have quite a few Indian options. And if you don't have Indian options, if you don't like the Indian options over here, a very close alternative to Indian option is like Turkish food. So Turkish food is like if you want like those same kebabs or like the same flavor and same spice level, you can always go for like the Turkish option as well. So these
Okay,
are some
very
of the
good.
hacks which I found around food. And then obviously the best is start cooking by yourself. It really does not take that much time. It's just getting used to it.
Yeah, yeah. And I know that in Trinity Hall last autumn, last September, they did provide cookery skills classes for people. And I think they were well attended, given the numbers that they could have at the classes, but they're looking to expand that this year. So there may be cookery class options for the TAPR students as well. And what about you mentioned you mentioned, you know, what you were living on initially, but in terms of like if you were vegan or vegetarian, would you be able to find good options in the stores here?
Yes, actually, surprisingly, there's a lot of options for vegan and vegetarian. A few of my friends are actually vegan. So, if you want to like go and go outside and eat, like if you're on campus and you just want to like grab a quick lunch or like grab something to eat, there are loads of options out here, and mostly all of the restaurants over here have like a vegan and a vegetarian option. The vegetarian option over here, just to point out, the vegetarian option sometimes includes egg over here, which is not necessarily the case in India. In India, we don't count egg as the vegetarian option. So every restaurant over here has a vegan option. There are super healthy of like outlets like Chopped or Sprouts, which are like really great. You can get salads or wraps or anything, and it's quite easy to like get vegan food over here. I've never tried it, but I've actually I did try like one of the vegan or like the veggie burger. It actually tasted pretty same, but it was vegetarian, so that was quite interesting. And there's like if you're coming on campus from halls, there's a right on Westmoreland Street, which is like a 3 to 4 minute walk from campus. There's like an Indian store which sells actually Indian street food, and it's all vegetarian. That store is all vegetarian, so you can find all your masalas or all your essentials which you need for cooking over there. Like in that store. So if you are a vegetarian vegan, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that you wouldn't have any problems finding food over here.
Super. Thanks a lot, Rishabh. Now I'm going to switch to another question for another member of the panel, but I'll come back to you, Rishabh, because I think we will have more questions for you in a moment. So we have a question from somebody who's coming in this year, which this is, I think, more of a question for Monica or for Aisling. Can you please share the fee structure? Is it semester? Is it a charge per semester, or are you charged for the full year?
Yeah, so I have a link. Actually, it's still with the fees for the current year. So but they should be the same for 23-24. So I'll share that in the chat.
Okay,
so just keep an eye on the website. I was told by the finance team that it should be updated shortly, but they did say that it shouldn't change too much. So I'll share that, and you can keep an eye on the website.
That's great. Also, there was a question which has been answered in the chat, but I'll just read it out as well. It was for the Trinity Hall fees, is it paid per month or per year? So Santa has said that the accommodation charges are separated into individual installments. And for the current year, she's put the accommodation charges link into the website, or from the website into the chat box, and the charges for next year are still to be confirmed. So Santa, thanks very much for that. Then someone else has asked, what are other accommodation options other than Trinity Hall, and would you recommend them? Well, actually, the only option that we offer to the incoming third year IEP students is Trinity Hall. So there are other options that are offered to other students. They're more expensive than Trinity Hall, but we don't reserve accommodation in any other place except Trinity Hall for the TAPR students. And in practice, to my knowledge, no TAPR students have stayed anywhere else for their third year. So I wouldn't recommend that you look elsewhere, to be quite honest. Now, please keep putting your questions into the box if you have any. If I could just ask Emer, Morhan and Chloe, would you mind putting in, I think Emer, you have access to the overall presentation. Could you put in some of the links to the immigration, some of the immigration links that I mentioned? Could you put them into the chat box, please, so that people have the links? Thanks very much. Okay, Risha, back to you then. Another thing, how did you find the transition from Indian academic system? Now, I know you'd only attended secondary school in India, but how did you, and these students have attended 2 years at TAPR, but how did you find the transition, and any main things that you have noticed, or any advice that you would give about studying at Trinity? Bearing in mind also you're in a different discipline, but still anything you have to share would be really useful.
One of the big shocks which I had while coming over here was when I got the results of my first essay, because in India we are not, at least in school, we are not like taught how to write papers and like how to write proper essays over here, like we are supposed to do over here. So I just started I didn't know that there were a lot of services or support offered to students who, like, we have the student disability program and the student writing program as well, which show you how to like research, how to cite papers, different styles of like citing and like formatting. So all of these things were like quite new to me, and I did not know all of these things, and I had just submitted my paper. So it was a little bit of a disappointment when I got my results. But after that, when I reached out to my tutor, they had provided me with all the links which were required for me to like go through and like see and like learn how to write a proper essay. It wasn't more of the content which I was like worried about. It was more about the like how to cite it properly and how to reference things. Those were the things which I like had no clue about. But after attending a couple of those workshops, I felt like I was pretty much on board, and I have been doing quite okay so far with the essays. The second thing over here, like I would say, is that one of the bigger shocks was Trinity getting like a 60% or a 70% in Trinity is really like it's the maximum you can get. 70% in my course, at least, because it's more about like it's not about right or wrong. It's like it's just your opinion. So getting a 70 is like really difficult for us. But Trinity is not very famous for giving more than 70 or like 75. So but the good thing is that if you're looking for jobs over here, recruiters also require a minimum of 2-1. So in that case, that's just 60% and above, which is fairly easy to get, or like if you're working hard enough, it's quite easy, it's quite achievable. But coming from India, where you're usually used to scoring like 90% or 85% and above, coming and seeing your marks drop down to like 60%, it just gets takes a mental toll on you. Does not mean much, because like the grading system over here is different, but that was certainly something which I was looking into in my first year.
Those are some great points there, and I might bring in Dervla O'Reilly actually on the question of grading, because again, in the STEM disciplines it might be a little bit different, but I think it's very important for students to hear a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I suppose the grading in STEM, it is possible to get higher grades in stuff like maths, where you know the questions are right or wrong. But I suppose yeah, just to kind of reiterate what's been said, like 70% or above is an excellent grade. Like that's the highest grade band that you can get, so that's considered a first. In terms of the way stuff is graded within engineering and computer science, as Chloe mentioned, there are kind of links that show all the modules that you'll be doing, and they also kind of show the form of assessment that is there. So sometimes you'll get a certain percentage of your marks through continuous assessment, others will be based on final exam, others might be based on kind of submission of code and things like that. Usually then if you're submitting anything online, it would go through a kind of a Turnitin thing to look at kind of to check that it doesn't like represent anyone else's work, I suppose, so that things aren't kind of plagiarized. And then they'd be kind of reviewed at that point. And in terms of the way they are graded, you would get then an indication of how that's done. So for each module, you'd know exactly how it's being assessed before you even start the module, which is helpful, because it also gives you an idea what you should concentrate on. And I think it's important, even for continuous assessment, even if that's only worth 10 or 20%, a lot of the activity that you'd be doing there, like the content of that will kind of contribute towards final exams and final essays. So even if it's not worth lots of marks, you've still got extra marks in the bank, which is kind of reassuring before you have to do your final exam. And also it's helpful in terms of kind of planning your study, which is good. But yeah, the grading scheme is very similar in terms of, yeah, you know, you kind of pass at 40%, then You've got bands then of kind of 60 to 56, 60, 70, 70 and above. And then if you do want to do certain things like say internships and things like that, there are usually certain grade requirements that you need for that. And there's also a grade requirement if you want to stay on and do the 5th year. And so it's just important that you're aware of those as you go along. And in terms of how your grades are calculated then for your final results, because we sometimes get asked that, your 3rd year marks count usually, I think this is the same, sorry, it might have changed since I was in there, but I don't think so. So they usually count for 20% of your final grade, and the 4th year marks count for 80% is the way it used to work. Now you can double check that with Chloe. But so it's important that you're kind of applying yourself right from when you start, because some of those grades, even though they're not as heavily weighted, will count towards your final grade. And then
Great,
we also
Dervla.
do group stuff as well. So just to bear that in mind.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Another question now for Rishab. Rishab, what's your first month like when you come to Trinity? How would you describe that, and how to take advantage of, Freshers Week and joining clubs and societies, but also trying to keep your eye on, adapting to study and adapting to Trinity Hall and actually doing some work as well and attending classes?
So yeah, my first month was, I'd say, quite mixed. My first week, definitely I was quite lost because I came a week earlier than Freshers Week, and I had absolutely no idea where to like go grocery shopping or pick up food and everything. So that was quite a bit of shock. But coming into halls, it was fun to like see. It was quite easy to make friends, like because your flatmates keep coming in and in, like they keep moving in at different point of time. So it was quite okay. But the first, like the week after, when college was actually starting, orientation week, and like when we had the Freshers Week was actually it was like a turning point. I think it would have gone either ways if I hadn't like done what I did in Freshers Week. So I was told by like a few seniors, like I had one of these meet and greet sessions before I came to Trinity as well. And over there, I was told that during Freshers Week, join as many clubs and societies as possible. So basically, if you're like interested in anything, we have a club or we have a society for that in Trinity. And if we don't, and if you gather enough people, you can start that club or society. We have clubs like Trampoline Society, basketball, football, rugby, Gaelic football, and a lot of cultures like Indian Society, Asian Society, then the Arabic Society. All these societies. So you can like join a lot of these things, and I would say that join as many as you can. Usually the registration fee is somewhere from like €2 for cultural society to €5 for sports societies. And if you join all these clubs, it's first of all, it's a great way to meet new people and meet people who like the same thing as you like. Second of all, even if you don't know how to play a sport, or even if you don't know how to like do something, or like how the cultural society works, you can actually just like the thing about Trinity is like all the clubs are very like inclusive. So they actually make an effort to like include you in every aspect of their club life. They have a whole like social events, coffee mornings, and like pub night outs, or like just normal night outs. Sometimes they meet at cafes and stuff, so that all these things actually like help you like get acclimatized to the city and like find out how Dublin is actually. And as far as like sports clubs go, they usually have like they are very beginner friendly. So they have like a beginner team or like a freshers team, and then they have like the actual varsity team. So if you're like trying to pick up a new sport, you can like start off in the beginner or the freshers team, and then make your way to the varsity team. So all of these things are like quite important if you're like looking to make friends and stepping out of your comfort zone and everything. I was a very passionate equestrian and basketball player. So I play the varsity team in Trinity, and I did horse riding till my first year. Second year was unfortunately in COVID. So in first year, it was quite fun actually, just going for rides with the whole club and everything. We had like they organized a certain trip to like Cheltenham, but due to visa, I could not go. But they have all these clubs have a lot of trips organized all around the year. I have gone for a basketball tournament to Paris, and yeah. So basically, if you join all these things, you get like first of all, you get an option to like choose from where do you want to go. Your plans are never going to be like, your day is never going to be empty, because there'll be something or the other which is going on. And if nothing at all, and if you have nothing to do, you can always hop by the global room. That's where I work. And we have a lot of ambassadors who are there, and we hold a lot of events which usually have a lot of free food as well. So that's added incentive to come along. But yeah, it's just a great space. You can come and chill over there. And also like going to classes is unlike in India, we don't have like attendance, which is compulsory over here. It is only like for tutorials sometimes where you have mandatory attendance. So it's really up to you if you want to go or not. But I would suggest that go to your classes, because if you just sit over there and listen, you're covered half of your syllabus over there. But other than that, you just get a chance to like meet a lot of people from your course. So if you're ever stuck or like have difficulty studying for an exam, you know people around and like you can ask around from them. So yeah, the
That's
first month is
brilliant,
always
Rishabh.
usually a little bit tough, but it's
Yeah.
doable and it's quite fun.
That's brilliant. Yeah, we definitely recommend going to class because as Rishabh said, this attendance isn't being taken, but it will be noted by your professors that you're not there, and they will start looking for you if you're not there. So yeah, do pay attention to that. What about, was there anything that you would recommend to the students to bring from India, for example, that they might not be able to get here easily? Because I know some people will be packing everything possible and then, they might not actually need it because, we do have stores here. So is there anything, and also maybe talk a little bit about the adjustment of the weather?
Okay, so I would say other than your warm clothes, and also I just got a jacket for myself. I was the person who packed a lot of like food stuff for me, like just packets of like instant noodles and ready to eat meals. The thing is that you don't need to do all of that. Just pack enough food for I'd say 1 or 2 days, because that's all you would need. Other than that, once you're like settled down and you've unpacked, any store which you go to, you can find and like all the food which you need. Like you can find Maggie, which is quite popular in India, or even the ready-to-eat meals. Any Indian store you go to, you'd have them, like loads of them, and a good variety of options. And I would say like get a pot or a pan, but if you're staying in halls, they usually have like you can pay for your cutlery and like the crockery over there, so you already have that, so you can save on your space by that. And also if you're getting like jackets or normal jackets, normal down feather jackets work. But other than that, like I would say it would be better if you get it from here, because it'll be the stuff you get from here will be more suited to the weather over here as compared to what you would be getting from India. But other than that, yeah, the weather is quite tricky. It is not very pleasant most of the time. It's usually gray and rainy and quite windy, since we're an island as well. But that's usually during like October to I would say May, which covers a lot of the semester, I know. But when it's summers, it actually makes up for all of it. Right now it's quite sunny and it's really nice. And during the summers, the campus is very like lively and everything. Whereas as compared to like in fall or in winter, the weather with Ireland is basically like you can't predict it. It's like one day, like this actually happened to me. One day I was like walking from halls to campus, and it was, as I got out of the halls, it was raining, and then in the bus it was sunny. While I got out, it was snowing. So I was like, okay, well, I got a little bit confused over there, like about what was happening.
I think,
But yeah,
well, where I'm sitting at the moment, it's really sunny. So there is evidence that the sun does shine sometimes. But I think the thing about Ireland is we have a very temperate climate. It never gets too hot. So you'll never have like 35 degrees or 40 degrees that you might have in India, but you'll never have really, really cold weather. But it might still be quite cold for an Indian person. I grant you that. So I think that's a really good advice. What about in terms of managing your money and managing your health, Rishabh? Anything you'd share with the guys who are here listening?
Managing your money, it just depends. First year, like since I was like living on my own for the first time, I really had no idea about how to do it. I figured it out along the way. I would suggest that portion out your monthly allowances into weeks. That way, you know if you're going overboard or like if you're going under, then you can spend accordingly. uh a huge part of the social life over here does revolve around going out, so I would say that pick your days, because if you're joining all these clubs and societies, like I said, you'd be out most of the nights, and that is something which is going to be very expensive. But if you pick your days, and like if you go out with friends and like eat your meals properly and like plan your meals accordingly, it's quite easy to like manage your funds over here. uh and managing your health, I would say that there are not a lot of options other than like healthy options. I mean, you can go out once in a while and eat something like a really nice cheeseburger or like pizzas and stuff. But there are a lot of other options like I mentioned earlier, and even like the campus, like on campus canteen called the Buttery, they have pretty good healthy options over there. And the only thing is that there is not much of a rice option over here, and usually the rice is replaced over here with like a potato. It's like usually fries or like mashed potatoes. So that is something which you might be looking into if like that's something definitely which I looked into, even though they both are carbs, but still it was just weird to like have with everything.
Yeah. They're good points. And one other thing, and we're going to be bringing this to a close now in a moment. So if there's any more questions, please do ask everyone. What about adjusting to Irish accents, but also to many international accents that you might have in the classroom? Because Trinity has students from 120 different countries. Now, they might not all be in engineering, but there's a lot of different accents from staff and students and lecturers. So how did you find the adjustment to Irish accents and then other accents?
Adjustment to Irish accents took a little bit of time. I would say it took about like I took about 2 to 3 weeks like get used to about what the professor was talking about or like what he was intending to say in lectures and classes. Other accents are usually fairly easier to understand as compared to like Irish if it's not like Scotland or Wales. One accent which I still can't get around is Northern Irish accent. I can't figure that one out yet, but the accent is just like, it's just about getting used to. It's not very difficult to like decipher what's going on. And if you can piece together the information, you're going to be fine.
That's great. That's great. And I think the key piece of advice is if you can't understand something, ask people to repeat or to slow down. There's no embarrassment because they might be struggling to understand your accent. Everyone has an accent. We all just think our accent is the normal one, don't we?
Right.
Yeah.
Also,
Okay.
in Global Room, I think we had hosted a session where we, I think you were the one who was leading that session where we were like looking at Irish slangs and how to pronounce Irish names and everything. So we have like these informative sessions as well to help you ease into the whole accent perspective of it.
Yeah, that's a great point as well. We have a question. Someone is asking about working part-time. I can answer that question. We'll give you more information about that when you actually join Trinity. But as an international student, as a non-EU student, you can work part-time for up to 20 hours per week during the academic term or up to 40 hours during holidays. However, we recommend that you adjust yourself to the studying at Trinity before you start looking for part-time jobs, because you do need to figure out what time you will have and how much time you're going to need for study. But Rishab, any comments on that from you as you have a part-time job at the Global Room, for example?
I would suggest like I would actually back up your statement about adjusting to college first and looking at your classes, lectures and everything. Because your part-time job, if you're not on campus, could be very demanding. I was very fortunate to get a job in the Global Room. So my schedule and my job kind of like works around each other. So that is not usually the case if you're working outside college. So it can be a little challenging managing your time and everything. So I would say I also picked up my job in like third year. So I had like 2 years. I figured out how my studies are going, how my grades are, and then I decided to pick up a job. But yeah, like I would say if you're looking for a job, give yourself a year's time. And then like, since in a year, you'd be like, like what you would need and how much time you can spare, and you can work that amount of time. But other than that, I wouldn't suggest actually coming into Trinity and looking, first thing you do is look for a part-time job. That's not very advisable because you're dealing with a lot of other things as well.
Good advice there. There's also a question about internships, about assistance with internships, and the team will give you advice on that when you arrive at Trinity. We're going to have to wind up now, but I'm conscious that Professor Ajay Batish has joined us, who's the Deputy Director at TAPR. You're very welcome, Professor Batish. If there's any final words you want to say, because we actually have to finish up in 1 minute's time, because I have to go myself. So
I have to go myself. I have another meeting to start at 5. So just wanted to say hello to all of you, right? We have been meeting these students off and on, so they know, all of them know me, and we have been telling them all this. So we know this for several years now. So thank you very much. So we'll see you soon.
Thank you so much, Professor Batish. Thank you, Karun. Thank you to everyone who joined us today. I won't name you all individually, but it's been very helpful. And a huge thanks in particular to Rishab, who's shared a lot of his experiences and his insights, which I hope will be very, very useful to you. Any questions you have for the team, please don't hesitate to get in touch with us. Many of the details have been shared already, and you're going to get a recording of the webinar. We look forward to welcoming you in Dublin in September. Thanks a lot, and we'll finish now.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.